in your opinion, what do you consider to be the best reaction that we've ever gotten from someone putting together that we were twins?
There are so many to pick from. Welcome to Twin Spin, the show hosted by us, the Neo Twins. We've shared a birthday, childhood, and now a podcast together. We talk about the stuff that's hard to name but impossible to ignore. Growth, identity, creativity, and change. It's part catch-up, part soul-searching, and all about becoming who we're meant to be, all with a twist of twin. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to yet another lovely episode with my lovely co-host, Andrew.
Hello.
Hello. Good to see you again, bud.
Yeah, likewise, man. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. You know, you just have one of those weeks where you're just like, the weekend just needs to come now.
Yeah.
It's one of those weeks.
Oh,
right now.
okay.
Yeah. How about you? How you doing?
Doing good. It's just been busy. You know, there's a lot going on with film stuff, with work stuff.
Yep.
With podcast stuff.
Yes.
All wonderful things.
Yeah,
it's all good. You know, staying busy, but staying busy in a good way.
Absolutely. Lots of exciting things coming up the pipeline.
Yeah.
And so can't wait to share that with folks when the time comes. So very much looking forward to that. But today we have a very interesting conversation.
Yes, we do.
As you all may know or not know if you don't. Andrew and I, of course, are identical twins. And with that comes a lot of very interesting things that we've that we've encountered over the many years that we have both been on this God green earth. And so today we're going to delve into a few of those things. 3 of the things that have been great, and then 3 of the things that have been, I don't want to say like not great, but like
I know initially we talked about like the 3 best things, 3 worst things about being a twin. But it's like, I mean, they're not even, I wouldn't even call them worst things.
Yeah.
They're more so challenges that we had to work our way through.
Exactly.
You know, that just comes with being a twin. Having someone else on this earth who is 99.99% genetically similar.
Exactly. Exactly.
So,
Yeah. And so we're going to delve into the good things first. And then take it from there, starting off with number 1, which is one of my favorite things, is the fact that you're born with a very best friend.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that right there, I think that is, in my opinion at least, the best thing about having a twin. And I know that this is not always the case. We actually have some friends who have a twin, and they consider their twin like their mortal enemy.
Yep.
And so I think, you know, you're either best friends with your twin or you're just enemies with your twin. I don't really think there's like an in-between.
No, there really isn't.
In that. But it's so true. I think even from when we were born, I think there was just a lot of similarities that we had, a lot of shared interests. And I think the fact that there was already someone born with you who had those shared interests.
Yep.
It was just too good to be true.
And that's another thing. I'm glad that you mentioned that, because, you know, there's of course the aspect that there are twins who are best friends or mortal enemies, but then there's the aspect of twins that are just naturally into the same things that you are. Mm-hmm. And that was a really cool aspect growing up, that you and I were both into filmmaking, both into content creation, and even going into college, we ended up going to the same university.
Yeah, same major, a lot of the same classes.
Yep, especially the same classes to save money on books.
Yeah,
even though our professors weren't the biggest fan of that.
No, I remember we had that one philosophy professor who, I think it was philosophy one semester, and then it was ethics the next one.
Yeah.
And he walked in and he took a look at us, and he's like, "Oh God, not you two again." And then he just kept going, and I'm like, "Oh." He remembers us.
I guess we made an impression the first time we had him as a professor. I think that was in community college, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Community college, we graduated together, and then going to...
We were the commencement speakers together.
Yes. Yes, we were. And we got to give a speech together.
Yeah.
And that was really cool.
Yeah.
One of the highlights for sure during my time in college, both community and then the 4-year college.
I think especially from... a filmmaking perspective as well, I think it helped a lot that there was someone who, you know, I could create films with or write stories with or just learn the craft with.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I don't think many people are afforded that opportunity, unfortunately. So
absolutely,
just very, very thankful.
Yeah. definitely.
Very happy that we were best friends, not mortal enemies.
Yes, yeah. And even when we do disagree, it's because we bring out the best in each other.
Most times.
Most times, but at least in the aspects of being
Most times, yeah.
of being a creative. We're not afraid to push one another. Being like, I think you can go further with this idea, or I think you're onto something. Keep going with that. That's great. But along with that, which brings me to my next point, is the reactions that we have gotten over the years from being a twin, whether it's at a bar, whether it's at a restaurant, whether it's even at a cafe. Like, people are just so like, oh my God, twins. Like,
so what's in your opinion, what do you consider to be the best reaction that we've ever gotten from someone putting together that we were twins?
There are so many to pick from.
Yeah.
There are so many. I would have to say, like, I think the best one for me has been when we were at a cafe to see a friend of ours.
Oh, okay.
And I see like these two elderly women staring at us.
Yeah.
And they just do not stop looking at us. And we're just like, what do they want? And eventually, like, one of them, like,
I remember
walks
that.
over. Yeah, right?
I remember that.
And they're just like, pardon to interrupt you guys, but are you guys twins? And I was just like, well, yes.
Yeah.
Part of me thought about being like, no.
This is some random Mexican
I've never seen before in my life.
Brother, I found you,
No, he's just my doppelganger.
Yeah.
But of course we said yes. And then she brought her friend over and was just like so excited.
I remember her being like, "See, I told you they're twins." It was like, it meant that they were like discussing the whole thing beforehand. I'm like, okay, there was a debate going on.
Yeah, exactly. What about you? What do you think is your favorite moment? I think I have a feeling what it is.
I mean, you're more than likely right.
Yeah.
It was when we were taking an Uber home.
That's the one.
Yeah, that one night after we were hanging out with some friends, and I remember the Uber driver, he was like doing like a double take in the mirror, and like he was like looking at the mirror, looking at the road, looking at the mirror, looking at the road. And you could tell that he was about to ask the question, and without even like letting him answer the question, we were just like, yes. And I remember he lost his shit when he realized that we were twins, because then he told us that he had never met a pair of twins in his life.
And ever.
And I'm like, wow. I was like, I mean, statistically speaking, I guess there has to be, folks who've just never come across a pair of identical twins in their life before. But I just remember he was just losing his mind, and he was just genuinely excited,
Yeah.
I mean, we could have been, Pedro Pascal for how he was reacting. I mean, it was just, it was so heartwarming just seeing the reaction that he was having.
I've seen a lot of reactions to us being twins in my life, but this guy was just like on more than cloud 9. He was on cloud 11.
Cloud 15,
exactly.
But it was so cool. I was just like, oh my God. Like, it's nice to make someone's night in that way. And I remember at the end, before we left, he asked if he could take a picture with us.
Yes, he did.
And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. He raced out of the car, went around the car, came to us, and then positioned the camera and was ready to smile with us. And I'm just like, this is so not what I was expecting going into this Uber ride. But I'm also touched.
Yeah. I mean, I was touched by that too, but it was just like, it was like 11 at night. We were already pretty tired. We thought okay, we're just going to get in this Uber, just chill, exist, and then go home, and just
life had other plans.
Yeah, life had other plans. And to this day, that is the best reaction I think I've ever seen from someone putting two and two together.
Exactly. And there's other things I want to talk about with this, but that will come up in the next section, and we'll take it from there, because the last thing on I guess the pro side of being a twin is the inside jokes / secret language that you and I had. And I didn't know until we were much older that our parents told us that apparently we had like a secret language growing up that only we could understand.
Except Fernando, our older brother, he was able to crack it.
Okay.
He understood, because remember, he would translate to our parents on our behalf, because we couldn't yet speak English, but we had our language already. Yeah. And sometimes our parents would be frustrated with us, and so Fernando would act as sort of our translator. Yeah. Because somehow he was able to understand what our language was.
Yeah, absolutely. And along with that, also the inside jokes that you and I have with one another. Because I mean, after 20 plus years, we have quite a few jokes and things that we shared with one another.
Yeah.
And so, you know, even sometimes just as much as like an eyebrow twitch or, you know, the littlest thing that we can do that we just understand one another.
And I think that has helped a ton, especially when it comes to like the filmmaking work that we do as well.
Especially there.
Because I think, you know, the fact that we can do a take, I can look at you, you can look at me, and without even saying a word, we understand exactly what the other one is meaning, whether it's we're good, let's keep going, or hey, let's do another take.
Yeah.
Or, you know, okay, Adrian doesn't seem quite satisfied with that.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember when we were filming our latest short film, Final Frame, one of the producers told me about how, like, as a take was being finished, you and I both like held up our hands at the same time.
Wait, really?
Yeah, just like at the same moment, let go our hand down and said, "Okay, we're good. Let's cut."
I didn't even know that.
Me neither. Like, you know, I even told him like, "Oh, I didn't know we did that."
Okay, yeah,
and he's like, "Oh yeah, you guys do." It's like you guys are very, very much in sync.
In sync. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I jokingly told him like we've had a lot of practice.
So we had a lot of practice with that.
Over the years.
Oh wow. Okay, I didn't know that. I didn't even know that was the thing we did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the more you know.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly. And so with that, going on to the next three things that make our lives more interesting, shall we say.
Opportunities for growth that we overcame.
I like the way you think.
That is the spin on that, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the first one kind of goes back to what I said earlier that I would bring up at this point, which is dating is tough. Like,
yeah.
It's already interesting enough being identical twins, you know, and the fact that we're both LGBTQ+.
Yeah.
But when you both live in the same city,
and when we lived in the same apartment.
That made things interesting.
I mean, it happened more than once, especially during those first few months.
Yes.
Where I was like, I'm talking to someone. You're like, oh, I'm talking to someone. I'm like, okay, let's see who it is. And then we showed the photo and it was the exact same guy. And we're like, oh, okay. And I remember at first we tried to make it work. We were like, oh, well, we'll just let the guy decide.
Yep.
But then that like created resentment, and it was very, very messy.
Yes.
It was like we were having all those high school fights that you'd like normally would have over someone.
Yep.
Just at that point in life.
Yeah.
Oh, and we were 22.
Yeah.
And so then we ended up having to like create like our own like system where if you were even like remotely talking to someone, you had to let the other one know. And if they were talking to that person, like just back off. But if they weren't, then you could continue to talk to that person.
Yeah. And even like going out to like bars,
guys
that would come up to me and just start talking to me as if I'm you.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, who in the world is this person? I have no idea who they are, much less why they're talking to me. And then after like a few seconds, it clicks that like, oh, they must think I'm you. And sometimes I don't bother correcting them. Because I'm just like, I'm already deep into this conversation with this person. I'm just going to temporarily act as you. And most of the time, they never even hesitate to think, oh, you have a twin brother? You know?
Well, I remember last year when I was like in the midst of the dating world and all that, I was talking to this one guy on Tinder, and I remember we were probably like 3 days into chatting already. And I was like, oh, okay, things are going good. This is, you know, we're meshing. And then he's like, hey, can I just ask you a quick question? Why did you change your name from Adrian? And I'm like, no. I was like, oh my God. I was like, this was like the most brutal way to find out that, actually, no, it's not. There have been more brutal ways.
There have been more brutal ones. But that still doesn't make this one any easier.
Well, I mean, it was the fact that I had spent 3 days already talking to this guy, and he waited until then to like be like, okay,
drop it, you know,
you're different. And I was like, yeah, like took 3 days for that realization to happen. So
exactly.
Yeah.
And this has even gone beyond just dating, like even just like walking about the streets of Chicago. Like I think you told me one story of a guy that like waved at you.
Oh, I mean, which one?
Yeah.
There are multiple.
True.
I've actually gotten in the habit now. If I'm walking like in Chicago and someone I don't know waves at me, I just wave back because I assume they know you.
Yep.
And I remember I had a coworker who asked me why I was so rude to them. Last time I saw them, I'm like, well, what were you talking about?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I was walking on the street and I waved at you and you didn't even look at me. You just walked by and I was so confused. And then I realized, oh, wait, was I wearing glasses when you saw me? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, well, I don't wear glasses. That was my twin. He still wears glasses. At the time you did. Now you got LASIK. And
yes.
you decided to make it even more confusing for people.
I got to keep it interesting.
You got to keep it fresh, you know? So yeah, you get those cases of mistaken identity and, guys who've, talked to me or have talked to you and then talked to the other one. And you just have to really, you have to really vet,
exactly.
Everybody that you're talking to. Or I've had friends message me being like, were you at this club last night? And I'm like, well, that's impossible. I wasn't even in the city
even
that night.
In the state,
Yeah. And then I have to clarify, and then they realized it was you.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we have so many stories like that.
Oh, yeah. One of my favorite all-time mix-ups or moments when, they thought we were the same person was actually when we went to Santa Barbara.
Emilio Estevez.
From the Breakfast Club, who played the jock character.
Yeah.
I had seen him earlier in the day at a screening for his new film called The Public.
Yeah.
And then later in the night, you met him then.
Yeah, and I was so confused at first, because I remember I shook his hand, and he's like, oh, it's great to see you again. And I'm like, what? I've never met you in my life, Emilio Estevez. And I'm like, well, how could he possibly? And then as I was finishing that sentence, it clicked, and I was like, oh, okay, he met Adrian, and okay.
Exactly.
It makes sense now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I forgot about that one. Yeah, that's
pretty funny.
I loved that. Yeah.
But with that, the second thing that we want to talk about in this category, shall we say, is, and this goes back so far back, is the comparison game that we often have with one another. I mean, like, with our older brother, we were like naturally a very competitive group of brothers growing up.
Yes.
But I think particularly with you and I, it was very interesting.
Well, yeah, and I think honestly, this is probably, because I mentioned what I thought was the best part. I think this is probably the challenge, the most challenging part of being a twin is that you're constantly compared by everybody around you, and because the other person looks so much like you, you just naturally feel the inclination to compare yourself. But I remember even like at family parties growing up, people would ask all the time, oh, so who gets the most girls, or who's the smart one?
Yep.
And I'm like, are you trying to make us hate each other? Like, do you want us to like become mortal enemies? It was insane how people felt so empowered to ask those questions, which were just like A, rude, and B, were just gonna pit us more against one another. And I remember in middle school gym,
oh gosh, yeah,
that was terrifying for two, chubby kids who had stashes at 13.
It did not do us any favor.
Who had no fashion sense.
Yeah.
And I remember whenever we'd play like Capture the Flag or Dodgeball, if there was a tie, the gym teachers used us as the tiebreakers. They named it
Nuno versus Nuno.
And they would pit us against one another to break the tie. And it was awful because we just wanted to like hide in our corners and just not exist. And we were just dragged to the center of attention, and it just hated that.
Yeah, and especially going into high school, I think that's when I really felt it the most. I was just like constantly like doing the comparison game a lot. With you and I, whether it was grades or this thing or that thing, and I carried that with me a lot, even going into college. And so, like the comparison game definitely was on my mind a lot more going into our older years, but as time went on, I really went on to appreciate the individuality that you and I had.
Yeah, but and I think this is actually a very nice segue into the last topic here, is that it obviously, just by being twins, it gets very tough to form your own individual identity.
Yep. tough to be seen as an individual and always as a pair.
Yeah.
Like people are always asking like, what are y'all going to do? Instead of like, what are you going to do? And what are you going to do? You know, they always just see us together. And I think, especially when we live together, that's what really only made it even more, you know, I guess gave it all the more power for us to be seen together as a pair. And I think us now living separately, you know, kind of really gave us a chance of like look in the mirror and really see more like
and I wouldn't
us individually is
I would
like,
say even like beyond that, just starting to have our own friends.
Yes,
I think was such a big help because, I mean, especially like in high school, we were just referred to as the Nunos, as like a collective.
Yes,
and I'll never forget when I went to college in Indiana for 4 months before I dropped out. It was the first time someone referred to me as Andrew. You know, that wasn't like a teacher or, you know, someone like that. And it really irked me. I'm like, whoa, all right. Like, I'm just me here, you know? And that really shook me. And it really made me evaluate who I am, just myself, versus who I am in the twinnage. Is that a word? Twinnage? We're gonna make it a word. Twinnage.
Yes.
of it all. And so, I think especially now that we exist independently of each other, I think it has allowed us to find more of our individuality.
Yeah.
But I mean, especially during those formative years, that got very challenging. To do.
Yeah, I have a funny story about when you were in Indiana for 4 months. Remember, our parents came and visited.
During like Parents Weekend.
Yeah, and I tagged along for Parents Weekend, and when we went back to that university to drop you off, on the way out, I ran into one of your, I guess, people who lived on your floor or something like that, and they just said, "Oh, hey, Andrew, good to see you." And I didn't even correct them. I just smiled, and I just kept walking because I'm just like, good to know some things don't change despite you having left home. But you know, despite all the things that, you know, have come along the way over the 20 plus years we've been twins, you know, I'm still very happy, still very thankful.
Oh yeah. I mean, I wouldn't change it for the world. I think, you know, not everybody gets to be born with a best friend, but you know, I think we got very lucky in that respect. And even the challenges that we had to work through and everything, I think that at the end we just came out stronger for it. I think we realized a lot in that process about how to be respectful of each other's feelings, you know, each other's wishes and all of that. And I think at this point, there really isn't a problem that we couldn't overcome. Yeah. Mostly because I think we got like most of the arguments I think we'll ever have in our life out in like the early years. Yeah. And so I think especially now, I think our relationship is at like the best point it's ever been. So.
Absolutely. You know, and it's definitely the start of a new chapter for us. But I'm so excited for what's to come, and you know, whether it's as a twin brother or a creative collaborator, you know, or even just a friend, you know, because even when we're not doing creative stuff, we always just can go on for hours talking about so many different things. And through it all, and especially through that period of our lives where we did coexist together, there was a lot of growth. It transformed us for the better. Yeah. And I think it positioned us all the more to be successful in that next chapter of things. Absolutely. I mean, you know, through it all, you're definitely my best friend. You know, likewise, man. Yeah. You were the first person I came out to. You were the second person I came out to, but you know. Yeah. As long as I was in the top 3, that works for me. There you go. You know, or all the many projects we've done over the years together. You know, I'm just so thankful to have you in my life. You know, likewise. I tell people all the time, like many people have to go through life looking for their best friend or their, you know, creative collaborator. And I tell people I feel lucky that I was born with one. Yeah. You know. Yeah. And so, you know, here's to the many, many years ahead, and just love you, man. Likewise, man. Love you too. We appreciate you so much for being here for this episode of Twin Spin. If something resonated with you, pass it along to someone else who might need it too. And if you're navigating something big in life right now, just know you're not alone. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next spin.